All right, howdy one and all. Welcome to another Cooking with Friends video. Tonight we're going to make good old-fashioned homemade chicken pot pie, except for the crust on top. We're going to use the store-bought pie crust. But we're going to start out by taking a look at, instead of onion this time, I want to use, let me see if I can get the right camera here. There we go. I'm going to use a leek. And they come and they look like this. They're pretty big. We're actually going to use, you're going to chop off that woody end. You're going to use about that much of it. I've already pre-chopped this stuff to try to make this go a little bit faster. It is work night and I just got home from work and I'm going to try to do this as quickly as I can. So we're going to get started in just 1 second. Okay, I've got 2 pans and I'm doing this outside on the grill. I've got 2 pans on the heat now. You want to start with a hot pan, and I've diced up about 1/3 of a pound of bacon. Okay, it's nothing huge, but we're going to throw that into our first frying pan. Oops, apologize for that. I'm going to throw that into our first frying pan, which is already hot. You probably can't hear it, but that pan is sizzling. So we want to start the bacon off there. We're going to let that kind of brown up and crisp up a little bit. Okay. And then what I need for this is, I want to switch over here so I can show you what I've got. Okay, so I've chopped up the leek and I've also chopped up some fresh carrots. Okay, and those are going to go in the pan where the bacon is once the bacon is done. But before we do that, I want to turn my attention to the chicken. So I've got roughly a little over a pound of chicken here. And all I want to do, and these are chicken thighs, boneless chicken thighs. They're going to be nice and tender for you. I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil. Oops, I got quite a bit there, but that's okay. So I'll just take these and I'll slop them around. I'll get them both sides covered in olive oil. And then what I'm going to do is I have a pre-made mixture of kosher salt, pepper, and smoked paprika. I'm going to use my dry hand and I'm going to season these pretty liberally on both sides. And I used about a mixture that I keep made up. Well, I added the smoked paprika to this one, but usually about 2 tablespoons of kosher salt and about a tablespoon of crushed black pepper. And this one I threw in about a tablespoon of, or maybe a little bit more, of smoked paprika. I'm gonna get these all seasoned up. And these are gonna go in my other hot pan. And we're gonna start those sizzling. So give me 1 second while I get that on the grill. Okay, the chicken is laid in the pan and that is gonna sear on one side. It should brown up nicely. We're gonna turn it over now. Keep in mind, we're not gonna cook that chicken the whole way through like this because this is gonna go in the oven at 350 for somewhere between 25 and 35 minutes until it's golden brown. And I will talk to you about that in just a second. All right, the bacon is browning up and crisping up pretty nicely. That's almost done. I'm going to pull this off. We're going to put it on a plate and set it aside. We want to drain some of this bacon grease out of this pan. We want to leave a tablespoon or 2 in there for sauteing and roasting the veggies that we're going to do. But we don't want too much grease in there because we're going to make a really nice gravy coming up in a little bit. All right, I have pulled my nice crispy bacon out of that pan and I have drained off most of the grease. I left about a tablespoon. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add our veggies to that pan that the bacon was cooking in. So remember, we've got that chopped up leek. You can use yellow onion for this. That's fine too. I just thought the leek would be fun. So we're going to put our carrots and our chopped up leek in there. And those carrots don't have to cook through until they're soft right now. Remember, we're going to soften them up. We're going to brown this stuff up. But remember, this is going to go in the oven again. So everything will finish cooking when we get to the oven. Okay, so that's roasting there. Okay, the chicken thighs I've seasoned with a little avocado oil, and then I put some kosher salt and crushed black pepper and some smoked paprika on it. We want to build these flavor layers up here, and we're going to build the texture of our chicken pot pie as we go too. Now the chicken, I'm doing it in a pan, but I'm doing it on the charcoal grill. You could do this on the grill, but I want the fond from the bottom of that pan when the chicken's done cooking to make a nice gravy out of. And so the chicken is in cast iron on the charcoal grill right now, and we're gonna flip that over and take a look at that right now. So the chicken's looking pretty good. I don't know, it's hard to see in this lighting, but my first side is browned up and crisping up a little bit. I've flipped it over, and now I've got the other side down, and we're gonna cook that a little bit longer, and then we're gonna pull that off, because remember, this is gonna be mostly cooked, but it's gonna go in the oven with the rest of our ingredients as we build the texture and the flavor layers and put our chicken pot pie together before we put it in the oven. All right, the chicken is cooking in its pan. These veggies are coming along nicely. The chopped up leek and the chopped carrots starting to soften up a little bit, but we want to keep those going a little bit longer. Smells are absolutely incredible. I wish you could smell this between the chicken and the roasting veggies and the bacon. And we're going to add one more component to the veggies, but I want those to get a little softer before I do that. The veggies are starting to look pretty good. Like I said, the carrots are going to need a little bit longer. And we're not done with the pan here, but our leeks are starting to brown up. And so at this point, I'm going to add, maybe a tablespoon or two of extra virgin olive oil once I get it open here. Yeah, a tablespoon or two of extra virgin olive oil. Let that get hot. And then we're going to add to this a couple of cloves or a good healthy tablespoon of minced garlic. We're going to put that in there. We don't want to burn it. So we're going to mix that up. Oh, the smell is just incredible here, you guys. And they're looking good. They're getting some nice color. That garlic browned up nicely. So we're building some flavor layers here. The veggies, the leek, the carrots. Now we got a little the grease from the bacon. We got some garlic in there, adding to that mix. So we're going to let those go a little bit longer here. Okay, we're getting close with our veggies here. Hard to see with the lighting and the camera equipment I have, but when you do this, you're going to see this. And, oh, it smells wonderful. I can smell the charcoal fire and the chicken in the pan behind me. And so now what we're going to do here is I've quartered up about 6 or 7 baby bella mushrooms that we're going to throw in there, and we're going to mix those up. Mix, stir, stir, stir. Let those soften up and come down a little bit. I think here at this point, what I want to do is we've put some olive oil in there, which is good. I want to add some more flavor layers here. So I'm going to throw in a couple of tablespoons of unsalted butter there. I'm going to give that a mix up. Let that cook down a little bit. Oh, it smells so good. I can't wait to eat this. Starving. Looking really good. I think at this point I'm going to throw in a little pinch of kosher salt and fresh black pepper. Not fun, but yeah, I want to build that flavor. That's doing good. Mix, mix, stir, stir, stir. And then I think our chicken is almost done. We're going to turn our attention to that now. Okay, the chicken looks pretty good. Got a nice little crisp on one side, on the other side, but we haven't cooked it all the way through. I don't want to overcook it now because it's going to go in the oven. So we're going to pull our chicken out. Set that off to the side. Smells just wonderful. And you can see all this stuff stuck to the bottom of the pan. That's what we want. We want that fond because we're going to make a nice gravy out of that. Okay, before we get to the gravy, it looks like our carrots are softening up. Our mushrooms are looking good. This is going well. Want to make sure what's going on there. And that looks good. So we're going to leave that go a little bit longer. Okay, I think at this point, what we can do is remember that bacon that we diced up and fried in this pan. We're going to go ahead and add those nice crispy slices back into our veggies. So again, we're building up some flavor layers, some texture layers. Mix, 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 stir, stir, stir. Oh, it smells just wonderful. And the best is yet to come still. So we're gonna let that go a little bit longer while we turn our attention over to that gravy. Okay, turning our attention to the gravy. We've got that nice fond in the bottom of the pan from cooking the chicken. We want to lift that off of there. So what I'm going to use is, and you can use vermouth, it holds on the shelf, but I like to sip a little squirrel juice while I'm cooking. So I got myself, and you don't have to get expensive wine, a little Riesling. So I'm going to throw in, 2 or 3 or 4 tablespoons of that Riesling. We want to cook that down and we want to reduce that to about half the current volume. And we're going to stir while we do it, get that fond off the bottom of the pan while it's cooking. A pan could be hotter, but I'd have to add more charcoal, but I think we're going to be okay with this cook. And you can smell that, and it smells just wonderful. So we're going to let that come back up to a simmer. We're going to let that cook down a little bit, and then I'll show you the next step in the gravy in just a second. The charcoal flame is getting a little low, so I've switched my gravy pan over to the propane, and I've moved my veggies off a little bit off to the side under some less direct heat. I don't want to overcook these. I just want to get them a little bit soft. When we put them in the oven, they'll be good to go. And then my gravy pan is now coming back up to a nice little simmer. My fond has come off the bottom of the pan nicely. And I just want to cook this a little longer. And I want to reduce it down to about half the amount of that Riesling remains from what we put in to begin with. Okay, my Riesling has cooked down and cooked off. And so what I want to do now at this point is I'm going to add about, half a cup, 3/4 of a cup of chicken stock. Maybe a little bit more than that. And again, we're gonna let this cook down a little bit. Bring that back up to temperature. And in the meantime, Okay, I've taken my chicken and I've cut it up into bite-sized pieces. And the chicken is just wonderful. It's juicy in the center and it's got some crisp on the outside. It's seasoned perfectly. And so yes, I did steal a little piece of chicken and taste it. Taste while you're cooking, guys. You'll get a sense of the flavors that you're putting into something. Now, right now, that chicken, I don't think I'll cook a chicken thigh any differently for a long time. Okay, so the chicken now is going to go in with that leek and chopped up carrots and mushrooms and garlic and olive oil and butter. We're going to mix that in. Okay, our gravy sauce is cooking down nicely, but you can see it's still not all that thick. So what I'm going to do now is I like to use a cornstarch slurry instead of flour. Flour clumps up and it's kind of a pain in the neck. So I'm going to mix a good heaping tablespoon of cornstarch in with some of that leftover chicken broth or chicken stock and mix that up until there's no lumps and slowly add it and stir it in to my gravy. Okay, I have my cornstarch and chicken stock slurry. I start adding that, cooking that in there. And you can see already it is thickening up. You want to make sure that you get this mixing really good, really well. Fortunately, with my cheap grill, got all the heat on one side. You're going to keep mixing this until this is all broken up. And then you can add more if you need to increase the thickness of your gravy. It smells so good right now. Just keep stirring that. At this point in my gravy, I'm going to add a couple of pinches of dried thyme and some dried sage. Again, we're thinking about building those flavor layers. So I'm going to go ahead and add those. And get those mixed in there. And then I'm going to add just a little tiny splash of what's this here sauce or Worcestershire sauce. Okay, don't add too much of that Worcestershire sauce. It's got it's pretty good hearty flavor, and you don't want to overpower it. So I've got my veggies, my chicken all mixed up nice. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that beautiful, wonderful, tasty gravy that we just made, and we're going to pour that. Let me grab my other holder here. We're going to pour that right over the top of our veggies and chicken. Get that going. I've turned the heat off. It's done cooking at this point. Now we're just finishing building it. So mix and stir here. Get it all incorporated. We're almost there. Oh, if you could only smell this. Again, taste while you're cooking. It helps you understand the flavor textures and the flavor layers that you're putting in your food, and it gives you an essence of what that final dish is going to taste like. And I can tell you this, that this is going to be wonderful. Okay, we have one more component to put into this beautiful stuffing for our chicken pot pie. And I'm going to put in somewhere between 6 and 8 ounces of sour cream. Okay, we're going to stir that in. Get that all mixed up. Gives it such a nice, luxurious creaminess to it. Once we put the pie crust on this and put it in the oven, when it comes out, it's just going to be wonderful. Okay, so make sure you got that stirred or mixed or incorporated to the point that you want it. Then we're going to add this whole mixture to our baking dish. All right, we got our baking dish all ready. Got my pot holder here and bring this over so we can all take a look. We're going to put our beautiful chicken pot pie innards in our baking dish. Oh, it smells so good. I can't wait to try this. Spread that all out nice and evenly. Steal a mushroom. So good. Okay, next step. Okay, next step is a store-bought pie crust. I'm using Pillsbury. No, they don't sponsor me. It'd be nice if they did. But you can make your own pie crust, but honestly, time-wise, I find that the store-bought pie crusts are really good. They're not that expensive. It's a time saver. And so you want to cover your dish and you want to pinch the edges in so that it sort of seals up. Here we go. Seals up on the edge of your baking dish. So we're going to do that all the way around. And if you have a smaller baking dish and it hangs over the edge, you can just cut the excess pie crust off the edge. So we're going to get that all set. And then one of the last things you want to do here is you want to make some steam holes. So you're going to go through and you don't want that steam sitting in there. And I probably use more than I need to, but there you go. All right, last step. You're going to do just a brush on of an egg wash. I've just taken one egg. I've mixed it up with about a tablespoon of water. And now we're just going to lightly brush the top of this. Oh, I can't wait to try this. Get that all spread out. You don't want it too thick. You don't want scrambled eggs on top of your pie crust. We're not making a quiche. Get it all spread in and spread around. Then this is going to go in your oven, which I have set at 350. I want to say 30 minutes. Check it though. When it gets, everything's cooked in there, remember? So now you're just looking to get that pastry crust nice and golden brown. So I'm going to put that in the oven and we'll be right back. All right, look, that's in the oven. I'm just waiting on it. Now you might think that this is kind of labor intensive, but it's really not. Especially, you know, if you're coming home from dinner or from work and you want to whip this up for dinner, the night before on Sunday, chop up your leek or your onion, whatever you're using, chop up your carrots, get all the prep work out of the way. And then it's just a matter of seasoning and cooking your chicken, crisping up that bacon, putting the ingredients together and sticking it in the oven. The longest part, honestly, once you have all the prep work done, it's going to be waiting for it to come out of the oven. And while you're doing that, you can enjoy some of that beautiful Riesling that you used to deglaze your pan. Okay, when chicken pot pie comes out of the oven, we're going to take a look at it and have a taste. I'll see you in a few. Okay, that's going to take a good 30 minutes. Check it along the way, but you want to make sure that that crust that you've got is flaky and it's got a color to it. Don't rush it. It's worth the wait. Okay, and so we're almost done there. I'm going to bring that back out here in just a couple minutes. We're going to take a look at it. We're going to have a taste. All right, there is our homemade chicken pot pie. It's really hot. I'm going to plate a little bit of this and I'm going to taste it. Smells really good. Get a little bit of carrot and chicken. That's really hot. I'm going to let this cool. A little bit of that crust. So good. Make it like this. Make sure you put the sour cream in there. It adds just another layer. Super good food. Thanks for watching.